How's it going, folks? This is Wayne, back with another lesson, and this is sort of a follow-up lesson to the lesson I did recently talking about power chords. So today we're going to be looking at octave chords. Great useful tool to get down, or bands like the Foo Fighters use these a lot. Used in loads and loads of songs. Indie bands use these a lot. So it's a real useful thing to get down. So I'll explain all about the theory, how to play one, and give you a couple of exercises in a moment. So thanks for the continued support. Thanks everyone who's subscribed. If you are subscribed and you haven't done already, a further way you could help me out is hitting that little notification bell that's somewhere down there so you can keep up to date with all the videos. The patron thing, if you're into the regular stuff that I do with the songs, all the chords, lyrics and strumming patterns are up there pretty much for all the lessons I've done over the past 2 years. There's also stuff to coincide with a lot of the technique lessons. There's a power chord chart up there to coincide with the last lesson that I did that was similar to this one but talking about power chords. If you want to go over and check that out. And there's some exclusive videos, there's a lot of videos from the archive. And the way that works, you just sign up for as little as a couple of quid a month, or however much you want to pledge. It all goes back into the lessons and it's very much appreciated. So there'll be a link to that in the comments. I'll also put a link in the description. As I said, thanks for the continued support. And if you want to, you can go over and give me a like on social media. So I'm Wayne R Guitar on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now also TikTok, as I always say. I'm trying to get down with the kids. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so octave chords. So if you watch the last lesson that I did about power chords, and there's a misconception about power chords or octave chords, played on an acoustic guitar. Everyone associates it with playing on an electric guitar, cranking up a little bit of overdrive. But I think they work really, really well on an acoustic guitar also. It's also a great way of getting into bar chords. Obviously, bar chords are a lot more difficult to play, but similar concept. What we've got is sort of a movable chord. So by learning power chords and octave chords, moving them around the guitar neck, I think it's a way that sort of helps you, get into bar chords as a beginner. It certainly helped me when I started out anyway. Okay, so if you haven't seen the last lesson, basically the theory behind a power chord is it's the first and fifth note played of a major scale. We play those two notes together. We've formed what we call a fifth chord or a power chord, and we get a two-fingered sort of movable chord. Okay, like I say, if you haven't seen that lesson, it doesn't have to coincide with the last lesson, but it'll make you understand what's going on in this lesson a little bit more. Okay, so basically the theory behind that is, like I say, it's the first and fifth note played of a major scale. So if we do that in the key of an A, I'm starting on the 5th fret on the low E string. We play the first 5 notes of the major scale. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play that and the first note together. We formed a power chord. Okay, what an octave chord is, it's the first and the 8th note played of a scale. Okay, so if we work the those notes out, we start again on the 5th fret on the low E string. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's why we call it an octave chord, because it's 8. Okay, but what we've actually got there is the root note again, which is like an octave higher than the first sort of root note. So if you play those two notes together, it gives us this great sounding chord. Okay, so I play that with my first and third finger. Okay, so obviously my first finger's on the 5th fret, that's on the low E string. My third finger is on the 7th fret on the D string, and we're going to hit the top 3 strings. But what you want to try and do, we don't want to be hearing the A string ringing out. So a good tip for that is to slightly lie the first finger down, just touch that A string, and you'll find that you can mute it quite easily. So you can give it a little bit more attack than when we're doing the downstroke. So we're hearing the the root note and also the octave note together. So like we did with the power chords, we can practice moving that, on the same strings around the fretboard. And just doing that, you can find your way, get some interesting things going, Good exercise, just sort of go ascending up the fretboard. And we're just doing downstrokes, we're not strumming these. A little bit like the power chords, we're just playing downstrokes, okay? We can also do the same chord shape off the A string and the G, okay? Again, now we've got to try and mute that D string. And a bit of a tip for this one, if you want to give it a little bit more of attack, is with your first finger, slightly touch that low E string so we can mute that as well, and then we can can give it a bit more attack and we can hit those, you know, top 4 strings. Okay, we can also do it on the next sort of 2 strings down. Okay, but what we have to do here, so my first finger is on the 5th fret, that is on the D string. And the way that the B string works, it's sort of tuned up a semitone, you know, than all the other strings. So everything that we do on the guitar sort of works and, you know, all clicks together the way that all the notes and everything work. So instead of playing sort of, you know, 3 frets up or 2 frets up, we have to actually play 4 frets up. So my first finger is on the 5th fret, that's on the D. And obviously it's a little bit of a stretch, so I'm using my little pinky here to play the 8th fret, that will be on the B string. Again, I'm touching that G in between, so we're not hearing that note coming through. Okay, a little bit more difficult to play that one, but it is used in quite a lot of songs as well. So yeah, octave chords, practice how to play these. You know, it's quite tricky, hitting those strings. Sounds much better if you can do that though, but check out, you know, like in the intro I did a little bit of Everlong by the Foo Fighters, sort of the little pre-chorus part, and you can hear, you know, in a lot of Foo Fighters songs, not just Foo Fighters, a lot of indie bands use these, a lot of metal bands use them, and they sound great. And like I say, a bit like a power chord, it's a movable chord, so practice those, good skill level to get down, and I'll catch you for another lesson very soon. Take care.